Warning, this video is purely speculation and is not to be taken as any more than just that, though I've provided references should you want to look into the points raised yourself. Thank you. Cross-platform development. The Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 are still going strong, nearly 7 years after their launch. Advances in hardware since these consoles have allowed for smaller devices, such as smartphones and portable gaming devices, to catch up and almost deliver the same level of graphics. This is particularly evident with the PlayStation Vita, where the same games are developed for both it and its bigger brother, the PlayStation 3. This means that you could buy a game for the PlayStation 3, only to then boot up your PlayStation Vita and to continue playing the same game. Steam is allowing for a similar situation. Buying Portal 2 lets you play it on both your console and your PC. I expect this to become more frequent as time goes on. In fact, I expect it to go further than that. Cloud computing is a term that's been thrown around a bit and is slowly creeping into everything we do. Your settings and saves for games on Steam are saved, so if you log into another PC, you'll still be able to access them straight away. OnLive is one of the first companies to attempt this with complete games. Since the complex calculations are done on their servers, it means that you can run the games on any platform that's compatible with the system. It does away with the need for capable graphics hardware in your home and would let you effectively access everything from anywhere, be it on a desktop PC or a phone. I have reservations about this, but look forward to seeing how it fares on the market and whether they can eliminate problems such as lag. It would also be interesting to see if they have any emergency procedures in place should they go out of business. I wouldn't like to lose games and files should they be stored remotely. Crytek have received a lot of flack for making the CryEngine 3 cross-compatible with the consoles, labelling them as sellouts for betraying their PC fans. I think people forget how much hate they got for making Crysis 1 so difficult to run in the first place. Cross-platform support helps in several ways. The engine is far more optimised since the consoles act as a lowest common denominator to aim for, and it should allow for developers to make games in a fraction of the time, which can then be released on the PCs as well as the consoles at no extra cost and with very little additional development time. Designing games with only the PC in mind is all but dead, so I see this as the best alternative option. It also brings about another interesting option. I wouldn't be surprised to see games like Crysis 3 released on next generation consoles as well as the current generation. Once again, Valve are ahead of the curve in this area as well, having already released Half-Life 2 on both the Xbox generation and the Xbox 360 generation. This shows that cross-platform releases, if done properly, can benefit everybody. Crysis 3 is a good example of how graphics can be scalable enough to run on current generation consoles while still being able to push the most powerful of PCs. I don't blame Sony and Microsoft for delaying the next generation for this long. A next generation of consoles may bring about more processing power, but doesn't always encourage innovation. In fact, I believe that developers became lazy, relying on the next generation to make better looking games. Freezing the hardware has forced them to become more efficient and clever when designing games. Compare Oblivion with Skyrim. They both require the same hardware, yet Skyrim shows just how much power can be squeezed out of the same system. Graphics appear to have got to a stage where the skill of the artist has become more of a limiting factor than the hardware itself. What do we expect to see on the next generation of consoles that we can't already play on today's systems? Sure, the graphics will look better, but the improvements will only be increased polygon counts and more detailed textures. As far as I'm concerned, the real game changers are still a long way off being possible, even on PCs. I think that what we have going on at the moment is a fantastic system where developers innovate and try to squeeze out as much from the current consoles as possible, whilst PC users reap the rewards of optimised games combined with additional processing power which has allowed for technologies which wouldn't have been possible if the games were continually becoming more demanding. We can run games at far higher resolutions, on multiple monitors and even in 3D thanks to the pause in hardware requirements for games. If anything, I find these improvements more interesting than the better graphics themselves. And on top of that, we'll also be getting a big graphical jump once the next generation of consoles comes out. And once we're accustomed to these advances, PC gamers won't settle for less. They'll want to be able to run the next generation of games with all the advantages they already have with this current generation. I am still deciding on whether 4K resolutions will come out before the next generation of consoles. As much as people tend to hate Apple, they have been the ones who have introduced higher resolution screens across all of their devices. You know something's wrong when a tablet has a higher resolution than your PC monitor. I think that Apple's latest laptops with a resolution of 2880 by 1800 is the first step towards a global adoption of higher resolutions. It used to be a case that PCs would be capable of resolutions far higher than the consoles or mainstream TVs. Perhaps it will go back to being that way again for a while. If the next generation of consoles are released in the next couple of years, I seriously doubt that they'll have enough hardware power to run decent looking games at the 4K resolution. Though they may be able to support it to some extent, even if it's only for menus, videos, and more simplistic games. I don't think that it will be too long before the next generation of consoles is announced. The Unreal 4 engine has been shown running in real time, and Square Enix have also released a video. Both of these are running in real time on a GeForce 680, which makes me believe that this is the sort of power that the next generation of consoles will be aiming for. But I'll talk about that in another video. Thank you for listening.